All right, what's up guys? Good morning YouTube. I want to talk to you guys for a second about the Powerfields electric fence netting. I think it's like a Rural King in-house brand of the Premier One that a lot of people talked about. And I watched a bunch of videos on the Premier One netting and how easy it looked, and I love the idea of being able to move my herd around, let them eat vegetation in different areas. It just seemed like it made way more sense than stretching fence and having to keep them in one spot permanently. So I invested in this Powerfields fence from Rural King, and there's a bunch of different ways you can energize it. I use this Patriot PS5. That's the solar panel, the battery, and the energizer all in one. And man, have I learned so much about this fence. I've messed with this thing for 2 weeks. It's worked, it's not worked. Like, the top strand, you can barely feel it. The green strand, you get a little bit more, but it seems like as you move down the fence, it gets hotter. But I did not realize, first of all, I've learned that this fence has to be, it can't really be touching the ground. Now the lowest line, the black one, is not energized, and none of these plastic lines obviously are energized. But if that orange or that green is touching the ground or touching much vegetation, it will just simply mess everything up. You might get some shock over here, you might not get any on the back side. The problem is it needs about twice as many poles as it has, because it just sags really easy in the middle, and you can shove the stakes in at angles, and it comes with this like twine and stakes to where you can pull this back. But even doing that, let it sit for a couple days, it's sagged in the middle. Just a real pain in the butt. So I put this one up. I've adjusted it 4 or 5 times to kind of get it to a decent semi-permanent state. It's either following me around here, sweet boy and girl. They're definitely sweet things. Both these goats were bottle fed, and they are like dogs. They just follow you everywhere. So I wish I had a picture of what this looked like the first couple days, but man. So these plants right here, this was all covered up. You could not see the back of this barn, and they ate all the leaves they could reach. And once they couldn't reach, I just kind of went in there and stomped some of them down to the ground, and then they ate them all off the ground just about. So really cool. Keeps me from having to do some weed eating. But yeah, so this fence is handy, but it's like, if you really need to start it and begin it on itself for it to work the best. So I started it at that edge of the barn, ran it all around here, and ended it at that edge, which is really tough, because anything it touches, it wants to shock and zap out against, and then you lose your shock somewhere on the fence. So this one's not quite big enough for me to just get all the way around this barn, so I'm going to pick up a second one and go all the way around. And I think that'll be way better. But another thing is, I'm pretty sure they have a goat or a more powerful version of this fence. This one is the poultry fence. It's the 40-inch. If I had full-size goats, I might think twice. But these pygmies, I'm telling you, they're shocked by this thing every few days, and they really don't touch it. So there's been a couple times I've had this fence not work for a day, and they don't even know because they don't test it. But if a few days or a week goes by, they will eventually test it. And the weather over there, the bigger one, he got to the point where one day he knew it wasn't working, and he was just ramming his head through it. And he got so tangled up in it and he had his legs tangled, his head tangled, and he just ended up just dropping and laying there. And it took me, as soon as I could get one goat untangled, the other one would walk in it. It was just a pain. But he doesn't have any horns, and she has very small ones. But what worries me is if we were to put our buck down here. Look, there's a squirrel over there. If we were to put our buck over here, who has decent sized horns, just not sure. He likes to hook them in the fence, and I'm just not sure if he hooked them in this fence. It wouldn't take much to put this fence into disarray pretty quick. So I don't know, but I'm just happy to have something I can move around. As you can see, all this brush right here, that goes for about 30 or 40 yards down a hillside, and it goes for, you know, 100 yards that way, and probably 300 or 400 yards this way. And I would love for this bank to be useful for something, whether it's, you know, driving RC cars or just being able to see down into the hayfield or anything. I would love to have a permanent herd out here that just keeps this 8 down year round, or at least helps us build some walking trails or something. So that's kind of the goal. But I've rambled on long enough now. I'm going to keep you guys posted on how that Powerfields fence works for me. It's supposed to work a lot better if I can connect the 2 ends, which I'm going to pick up another set in the next few days and connect the 2 ends, and we'll see how it goes. So thanks for watching. See you in the next one.